All right, everybody. Hope you guys are all doing well. I have changed up my setup a little bit here, and so basically I shifted my camera a little bit off to the side and just kind of playing with a different setup. I got my mic shifted a little bit closer, so definitely keep me posted on all the quality here. I have some notes pulled up for our stream today over here on this screen. So if you see me looking off to the left, not trying to ignore you, just looking at my notes and stuff. So definitely would appreciate feedback on quality. Now, super excited to see everybody joining. Hello again, I'm Jonathan from Permaslug. And what we're going to be doing today is going over the soon to be released WP Grid Builder Oxygen add-on. Now, this is pretty cool because what it does is enable you to set up your facets. Of course, you still create them in the backend in WP Grid Builder, but in order to actually add them into Oxygen, it's extremely simple now. So there's some dedicated, Kyle's always got the trolling right off the bat. Oh man, actually nobody else is home, so I'm gonna leave that door wide open. But what it will do is enable you to create your filters and add them inside of Oxygen super easily, almost like any other element. So if you were to add a text block, you can click add and go to the text block, it pops in the page. Same thing is true. And then you have all the controls for your filters built right into Oxygen, which is pretty sweet. So what we're going to go through today is I'm going to create a custom post type. We're actually going to create a custom taxonomy as well, and then add some posts, create some facets, maybe ACF field group as well. And then we'll set it up in Oxygen so you can get a sense for how it will work. And it's really cool. So I was pretty excited as I was playing with this yesterday to get a sense for how this worked. And hopefully you guys will like it as well. So as you can see, there isn't all that much going on this site at the moment. There's basics, nothing insane. But what we need to have, of course, is WP Grid Builder. I have the map facet activated. I wanted to go backward and deactivate that so I could turn it on for you guys, but unfortunately it won't let me do it. And then the WP Grid Builder Oxygen add-on. So one thing is, if you don't already have WP Grid Builder, please consider using the link in the description below. It is an affiliate link, which of course gives me a small kickback, but you don't pay anything extra. So I would certainly appreciate it. If you're going to get WP Grid Builder, consider using my link, which would be amazing. And now what we're going to do is go ahead and get started. So I am going to start off, like I said, by creating a custom post type. So if you're not familiar with what that is, essentially I want to create my own place to organize. What we're going to do in this example is like locations. So I want all my locations to be in their own dedicated section of my admin bar. So we're going to go to add edit post types. Hey Kyle, the admin bar, get it? Ha! Darren says, so cool you're doing this today. I'm having an unbelievably difficult time with this plugin, nonstop 502 errors. That's so weird. I haven't had any issues whatsoever. And right when I first started using it, I wasn't sure exactly how to make it work. But it's been pretty seamless other than that. So anyway, going to click Add Edit Post Type. And like I said before, we're going to basically base this around just like a simple locations, local directory kind of site. So our post type slug here is going to be just locations. You'll notice that if you press a space, it adds an underscore for you. And if you try to do a capital letter, it shrinks it, it whatever the word is, decapitalizes it, because it's your slug. So this is what's going to appear in your post type slug in the URL at the top of the page. So I'm just going to use locations. Plural label will be locations, and then singular will be location. So now we'll click Add Post Type. We want to go ahead and edit our post type right off the bat because there are a couple more changes we need to make. So I am going to scroll way down here, and what I'm looking for is, I think I passed it. No, I didn't. There it is. Has archive is what I'm after. So I need to turn that to true, which will allow us to use this as an archive template in Oxygen. So set that to true. And then we're going to come down a little bit further. I like to, yes, lowercase is the word. I like to change the menu icon. So we're going to go to dash icon class name right here. And I'm going to take this down all the way until I get to my map pen. And I'm going to copy this class name. So dash icons hyphen location. We can stick this in the menu icon area. And then before we save, I want to go ahead and turn on the categories taxonomy, which we're not actually going to use because we're going to create a custom taxonomy, but I want you to see the difference here. So save post type. And so now we have our locations post type good to go. The reason why I enabled that taxonomy for categories, but I said we're not going to use it, is because I don't want to convolute the built-in WordPress categories. And you probably wouldn't want to do that either if you were going to use categories on your regular posts. So let me demonstrate real quick. Let's go add a taxonomy. Hey Stratos, glad to see you guys here. Bunch of familiar faces, really excited to see all you guys. So we're essentially going to do the exact same thing, similar to creating the post type, except this time we're creating a taxonomy. So this taxonomy slug, I'm going to type locations space categories, and it adds the underscore instead of the space. Plural label, let's call this location category, and then the singular will be location categories, like that. And then attached to post type, we're going to go to locations, which is of course the one that we just created, and we'll go to add. Now we need to go to the edit taxonomies tab. If you have more than one, just make sure yours is selected. And what we need to do is find the hierarchical, however you say that, and change this to true. When it's set to false, it behaves more like a tag than it does a category, but if you change it to hierarchical, then they can kind of nest underneath each other. So go ahead and set that to true. And then for the moment, that should be all we need. There might be one other thing I'm forgetting. Show admin column, I think I want that to be true as well. And let's save. So this is now where I want to show you creating where that custom taxonomy is going to come into play. So basically if we go to, Andre says definitely a singular plural tutorial needed. Did I get it wrong? Plural. Oh, yep, I messed that up. Whoops. Good call. So the plural label should be location categories and then location category. Yes, thank you very much, Andre. I appreciate that. So I did make that mistake. Plural and singular. I actually know the difference thanks to WordPress. Save taxonomy. We'll update that. Now, so if I were to go into my locations, then you can see I have the categories just like you're familiar with WordPress, and then you also have location categories. It looks exactly identical. So let's go ahead and just add one called like coffee, and then we'll stick that in. And then if I switch over here to the categories, then I have these from earlier. I have these categories from when I was working on this demo site before I started the stream. But typically you can see they don't correlate. So I deleted all those, but if I come back over here to the location categories, then of course there's just that one. Now the difference is, let's go ahead and in this category section, let's just add like breakfast, if I can spell it properly. And then you'll notice we're in the locations category, but if I switch to the posts categories, then you can see the breakfast category I created is there. So all of this is to demonstrate where a custom taxonomy is really going to benefit you, which is in organization. And especially if you're creating Oxygen archive templates, you really want to consider creating custom post types and custom taxonomies for things like search results. That's pretty much where I've run into the most headache, is trying to filter search results based on taxonomy for different post types. So those would be for more complex sites, but it is something for you to keep in mind. Long story short, we now have what we need, except I'm going to go back to CPT UI, and then under our add edit post type, I'm going to edit the one we just created and scroll down back to the taxonomies, the category core. We'll just save this guy. And then now we only have our custom taxonomy in locations. So that is working quite nicely, if I do say so myself. So what we're going to do at this point is go ahead and create our custom field group. So we're going to add just some basic ACF fields. So we're going to go to add new field group, and I'm just going to call this like locations fields. You don't need to edit this with Oxygen, so you can keep this minimized. And I'm going to change this to post type is equal to location. I'm going to set my position to high after title, which only makes a difference if you are using Classic Editor. Otherwise, your fields are going to be down below Gutenberg if you use that. Next up, our first field, we're going to call this one address, and then our field name will be address as well. Our field type, we're going to switch it to Google Maps, which I think, if I'm not mistaken, is an ACF Pro field, but we're going to do Google Maps there. If you want it to be required, you certainly can do so. I will definitely have it in all mine, so maybe I'll set that to required. And then for the other one here, what we're going to do is just a simple radio option. So on-site parking, set this to radio, not range. Radio is in choice, and this is going to force the user to make one selection from the list of available options. So we're going to go to choices, yes and no, and then allow null enables them to deselect that radio option if they choose to. So those are all I'm going to do for my ACF fields. We're going to keep it nice and simple for the moment. Just stick with those two. And then now what I'm going to do is we need to add our API key, or Google Maps API key, to Oxygen. So come down here to Oxygen settings, and then in your Google Maps API key, just make sure you have a proper API key popped in there already, and then also that key is restricted properly, because if it's not, then when you go create your locations in just a moment, that Google Maps field is not going to work for you. What I'm going to do just quickly for the sake of time is, well, actually, let's add one location first of all so you can see. So this one, I'll just make something up, Main Street Coffee, which is what I used earlier in an example. And then now I can actually search for an address. So let's just type in like 100 Main Street, I don't know, Blackburn, Victoria, Australia. That works. So once you have that address you want, you click on it and it places the map pin for you. And then the other ACF field that we had was on-site parking, yes or no. So of course we would just choose whichever option you felt was appropriate there. And then we have our location categories here. So this is our custom taxonomy that we created, and of course the coffee for our demonstration, category that I created a moment ago. So it's relatively simple on the back end. I just wanted to show you what this looks like. And now I am going to import the post that I was working with from earlier, just for the sake of time. So we're going to do this real quick, toss in these posts, and then I do think I still have to change the featured image. So let's go back to our locations and see what we got, and it didn't work. Maybe I went too quickly and didn't click something. Import, run. Maybe I need to overwrite them because I think I trashed them earlier. Let's see, demo, download and import file attachments. Let's try that. Location already exists. Oh, maybe it's because they're in the trash. I'm not very smart, as you can tell. So now they're deleted. So now I have no locations. Delete this. Let's try this again. So tools, import, run importer, sandbox, upload. Demo is me, which I think is not going to make any difference because it is me. And then I don't care about the file attachments, but I'm going to do it anyway. Okay, so now it all worked, I believe. Cool. We are missing one. Oh, actually, there's our coffee one. So if I edit this, then now you see I have my address already imported. I need to assign my categories because in the one I imported there wasn't demo categories, and I need to reassign a featured image. So for this park, let's just choose like this tree. This, let's just go like, let's call this one park. We'll update this. And then we need to do it for the rest of these locations as well. So we got the park one. Let's do coffee, H&M, Tony's, Maine. All right, so Hornets, Nest Disc Golf Course. Let's just call this like sports. And then I'm gonna add this to the category of park and sports. And then we'll pick out this one over here that looked like a golf course to me, update that. Switch over here to H&M and I'm gonna call this clothing, or maybe like shops. We'll do shops as a category. And then I had an actual picture of an H&M store. We'll update that bad boy. Tony's Pizza, we'll go dinner. And then I had a picture of some delicious looking pizza. Like a margarita pizza or something like that. Maybe that one actually doesn't look as good as I thought it did, but it made me think of margarita pizza or margarita pizza. So there we go. That's my Italian accent. Hopefully you guys appreciate that. All right, so we already have a category for coffee on this one, and then I have a category over here. So we're gonna go ahead and publish this. So now we have our locations posts all set up. So at this point, what we're gonna do is go ahead and create our facets. Before you go ahead and follow the rest part of this stuff, Kyle says, of course, you keep an H&M store picture handy. You know, I do actually. There's one not far from my house. And so at this point, what I'm going to do is go to add-ons. What you need to do is make sure you have your map facet add-on if you want to end up with the layout we're gonna create here. I already have it activated, so go ahead and turn that on. And then let's go to all facets. So we're going to create a map facet first. So the facet name doesn't actually make any difference because this is just for your sake in the back end. The slug will matter if you care about what appears in the address bar as someone is filtering, so you can change that if you so desire. And then let's use facet title search, or actually let's call this like map results. That facet title will appear above the facet, so keep that in mind. And we need to save so that it generates a class and a shortcode. Now, with what you're going to see in a bit, you don't actually need to save the shortcode, so don't even bother with that anymore, which is pretty cool. And then we'll switch over to the behavior tab. Yes, Kyle, as it turns out, I am Italian. I was supposed to go to Italy this year right when COVID kicked off, but obviously that didn't happen. So hopefully we can make it back out there. All right, so for our map, what we're gonna do is leave our facet action as filter. Filter type, we're going to switch to map, which is not going to appear unless you turned on that add-on that I just told you to. And then down here, we're going to go to filter by, custom field, post field, and then the enter field name, we're going to do address, which is the ACF custom field we set up just a little bit ago. Then I'm going to go to API type Google, and I need to grab my key. Where is it? My API key is right here. Paste that guy in there. Map filtering I'm going to turn on, and then I also want to turn on pan to search as well. So that's the end of that facet. We'll save this one, and then we're going to go create another one. So I found the easiest way is just to click all facets again, and then create new. Don't need it to save that, so create a facet. Kyle says, I've heard you've been banned from Europe. That's bad news. That is really bad news because I've actually had 2 trips to Europe that have gotten canceled for stuff outside of my control. I am very, very, what's the word? Dedicated to getting there later this year. I just am like, get me there as quickly as possible. So anyway, what we're going to do now is just a standard search field. We're just going to go like search by, oh, if I can type properly, search by name. And then facet title will again go search by name. And then save this guy. Shayla, hopefully I'm saying your name properly, or Shayla, can this be used on multi-site? I have no idea. I've never even explored multi-site, if I'm perfectly honest. Hopefully somebody else can chime in. Behavior. Stratos says remove LastPass. It has many issues. That's interesting. I've used LastPass for years and I love it. Under the behavior tab, what we're going to do for this one is again leave it as filter, but I'm going to use autocomplete. And then for the title, we're going to change this to WordPress field. Post field again is good, and then post title will be our filter by data source. And then there's a ton of other options down here. All of these are relatively self-explanatory. You can have placeholders, minimum characters. The minimum characters is actually pretty useful at 1, but sometimes it requires you to do like 3. I guess it kind of depends on server utilization and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, save that guy. That one's super simple. Once again, we'll create another facet. This time we're going to go taxonomy for our categories. And then we're going to go like, I don't know what we'll call this, just like filter. Do I want filter by in front of all of these? I think I'll just call this one categories. And then facet title again will just be categories. Save this guy. Kyle, I love you being the resident troll on this stream, dude. Super glad to have you. Do I owe you anything for this? How much am I supposed to pay you for this? All right, so now I'm going to switch over to behavior. Filter, we will set as filter type checkbox, which is the default. But if you have a lot of categories, it might make sense for you to do something like drop down. So you can certainly do that. Filter by data source is by default taxonomy, and then it's looking at the default categories. But remember, of course, we set up the custom taxonomy, so we're going to go with location categories here. You also have the option for parent terms. So if I were to search like coffee, then this one is only going to show anything that's underneath that. And then you can also exclude terms, which is pretty cool. You can include, exclude, parent, etc. You also have the option for logical combination and or, and all these other options as well. So pretty simple. We'll go ahead and save this guy. Let's see. Kyle says, you could give my last YouTube video a shout out. Heck yeah. Let me pull it up. Let's see. The admin bar. YouTube. There it is. All right, if you're not already subscribed, go subscribe to the admin bar because Kyle is awesome and all these videos are great. He's been pumping them out and he said he didn't feel like they were that great. They're great. Go check them out. Okay, back to where we were. I'm going to save this facet. Hey, and I'm not joking either about going to check out the admin bar. Also, if you're not in that group, go check it out as well. Okay, so next up, what facets do we have? I think we need one more. So we have taxonomy, we have our search, and then our map. What was the other one? It was, oh yeah, the radio for our, whether they have parking or not. So we're going to call this one parking, question mark? Parking, question mark, once again. And then save. And then we're going to go to behavior. We're going to leave the filter action as filter. This time we're going to choose radio because I only have 2 options in this case, so I'm willing to see all of them, and this is good because we already have a checkbox type as well. So what we're going to do is switch our data source to custom field, post field once again, and then we're going to type the word park to pull up our ACF field for on-site parking, and there's nothing else we really need to change, so go ahead and click save. Andre says, all these videos are great. YouTube progress bar stopping at about 25. Yeah, I am getting a straight call out there. I promise I watch them, but I watch them on my phone. Actually, Kyle, you released one this morning that I saw seriously like 2 minutes after it came live. So I was like the second viewer on the one you posted today. You guys caught me red-handed, but if I showed you on my phone, they're all red, I swear. I don't have time for that right now. Okay, so we have all of our facets. Parking, category, search by name, and map. Is that all I got here? Yes. So now we are ready to go create our Oxygen archive template. So we're going to go to templates, add new. We'll call this locations archive. And then we don't have another template to inherit, so we'll just leave that as none. Archive is going to be post types, locations, and then publish this bad boy, and we'll edit in Oxygen. Stratos, I appreciate your comments about LastPass. I'll have to check it out. I wasn't familiar with that. I know they just switched to a paid model. Wonder if that has anything to do with it. Alrighty. So what we're going to do at this point is just go ahead and pop in a section. I'm going to set this to a slightly off-white color. And then now comes the fun part. So what we can do is go to add, and if you look down here, there's a new button for WP Grid Builder, which is sweet. So if you've created a grid in the back end of WP Grid Builder, you can select that here. But of course, we're going to be using a repeater to display our posts. So facet is going to be what we're going to click on here. And then all of the facets that we just created are now available in this dropdown. So it might make sense for you to name them more clearly than I have here, but that's okay. I'm going to go ahead and click on Map. And then this select a grid or element to filter. We of course don't have our repeater on the page yet, so I'm just going to leave that blank. Probably should have added the repeater first, but that's okay. So let's go ahead and stick in a section. We're going to pop in a repeater, and we don't need to change our query because of course we're on the locations archive template. But let's go ahead and add some content in here. So we're going to go image. We're going to use the posts featured image here. I'm going to add let's say like 30 pixels of margin. Then I'm going to stick in a heading. We're going to insert the data of post title here. And then before I get too far, for the sake of the layout I'll create in just a moment, I'm going to wrap this heading with a div here. And then this div, let's add like 25 pixels of padding all the way around. Let's go ahead and add a utility class. We're going to call this margin bottom. So we can go 15 pixels. Probably 15 is too much. The class thing might be kind of pointless. We'll come back to that. So next up, what else do we need to display here? So we have our post title, our ACF field. If we stick in the address, then it's going to display an entire map because it's that ACF field. So I'm going to go on-site parking, and I'm going to type on-site parking :space and then my dynamic data. So it says on-site parking yes. I'm going to do margin as the class, except I already have core on here, so all the core utility classes are there. Then let's add in another text element. We're going to go with category space insert data. Categories taxonomy will be location categories. Separator is going to just be a comma and a space. And then now we have our category in like that. Next up, let's go PS margin bottom again. And then we're going to pop in a code block. And with this code block, we're going to use some really simple PHP to display just the address out of our ACF map field. So all this does is essentially just get the address field, and then it's just going to pull out the address itself and not display the entire map. So then that is what we're left with right there. Really simple. And then let's see, is that all we had? I think I'm forgetting something, but that's okay for now. So we have our dynamic data, easy enough. And then let's go to our repeater. Grid layout, we're going to go to column count of 3. And then scroll down here, and we're going to go to, let's see. Well, actually, we need a second div here. So wait. Sorry, I got myself confused. On this repeater grid layout, I'm going to go column count of 2. And then in the section itself, I'm going to add in another div. Then what I'm going to do is stick this div above the repeater. On the section itself, we're going to change that layout as well to grid. Change that to a column count of 3. And then we're going to make our children elements go such that this second div here has a column span of 2. There we go. That's what I want. And then our filters are going to exist over here on this left-hand div. Now, let me save this real quick. And then if I go back to the facet, it should allow us, there it is, now to see the grid element that it wants us to filter. So this was the most difficult part for people, was getting their facets connected to like a repeater or something like that on the page. But now all I have to do is just click this, apply parameters down there at the bottom, and our map is going to display it. Now I have reached out to the developer because I have noticed a few small glitches with this map facet, namely that you have to define a height before it appears, which I felt was kind of clunky. And then also if you set the map width to something like 100%, it goes off the page. But I know that stuff will be fixed, so I'm not particularly worried about that. Let's set it to something like 75% because in my testing from earlier, what actually happens on the front end is it gets roughly the right size as the page content. So even though in the back end it doesn't look quite right, on the front end. I'm sure it's going to be sorted out in the near future. So here's our map, and it's automatically plotting all of the stuff that's in our repeater over here, which is pretty awesome. And then not only that, if you click it, then of course you can see data from the map pin. All this text is just in the WordPress in the WordPress content editor, and then this is the post title. Now, the only downside right now is that you do have to basically custom code what appears here. You can't configure that quite yet, but I hope that in the future we could configure this using our familiar Oxygen tools. But what's super, super cool about this, we turned on the map filtering earlier. So if I tick this box that says search as I move the map, if I zoom in and kind of move, then now I should only have 2 results. So I have this park and the disc golf course. But if I zoom back out, now I should have everything, and I sure do, as you can see, which is pretty cool. Stratos asks, can you put auto as the width? Let's try that. Gonna go set the width of the map to auto. Looks like there isn't an auto one. So we have pixels, percent, VW, VH, and none. So I guess you could just go like your page width of, I don't know, whatever it is, 1200. But even that kind of pushes it off. There must be some other error there. Not sure exactly why that would be. I'm going to switch mine back to 75%, I think it was, 1200. Uh-oh. I think I gave, I think I might have blown up my page here. Let me refresh this real quick. Wait, I guess. I think that's going to allow us to just refresh. Elijah asks, did Loic give you a release date you can share? He told me it was around about a week, because I asked him could I go ahead and make videos on this, and he said yes. And then he said it was going to be about a week or so. Do I have to go exit? Man, that's not what I wanted. At least I saved somewhat recently, so we're going to have something that looks roughly similar to what we were at, but this is just part of the early release, I guess. So Andre says use none and type in auto. Oh, okay. Let's give that a shot. Hopefully it doesn't detonate my page again. So we'll go to none and then auto as our map width. So apply. Yeah, it's still not quite right. Still stretches off the page, but it's really not that big of a deal. So we're going to switch that back to percentage, and then it was 75%, I think. Now, let's go ahead and add in the other facets as well. So in this div over here on the left-hand side, I'm going to stick in another div, and we're going to call this one like PS filter divs. We're going to set this one's width to 100%. Let's go with a margin bottom of like 30 pixels. And then inside of this div, I'm going to go add WP Grid Builder facet. And then our facet, let's use categories. Select a grid element to filter is going to be Oxygen Repeater. Click on Apply. So now you can see we have our categories in here automatically. Stratos asks, hey Elijah, can you share anything from version 3.8? And he says, nope, but the alpha isn't too far off. Woo, baby. Hopefully that's a good thing. I'm excited to hear that. I'm surprised Elijah even told us that, to be honest. Pretty stoked. Now, what's so cool about this is before, of course, you just had to add your facets with a shortcode to your page, which was fine. But if you wanted to make any styling changes, then you had to do that with CSS, which now is no longer the case. So as you can see, we have all of these options here to configure our styles. So let's go to something like choices, colors, and then background. Actually, I want to change the checkbox. So let's click one of these. So by default, it has this blue color. Let's go back to, let's see, where is it? Checkbox, there it is. Maybe if I read, then I would understand what I'm clicking on. But if I click on colors, you can see I have background color, background pressed, and then mixed, and then checkmark. So let's go with checkmark color. Let's leave that as white. And then background mixed, background pressed. Yeah, background pressed. It's a little confusing because there's so many options here. Let's change this to something like, something really distinct. I'm going to go like an orange. And then I'm going to set this as a global color. So we'll just call this orange. Let's see. Now we have our global color as our background pressed. And then for our border pressed, let's use that same orange. And so you can see it's extremely simple to create layouts that are consistent with your particular website now that we have all of these options built right in. I love WP Grid Builder. Where will the Oxygen add-on be released? It's going to be on their site, I think in about a week. Not exactly sure if it's going to be an add-on inside the plugin itself or if you have to go download a separate plugin, but we will see. Not exactly sure. Now, of course, you can change your checkmark color. So if you wanted it to look like awful, like I'm doing here, have some sort of neon green, you can certainly do that. But not only that, of course, you have all of these other options. So pretty much every element here can be configured with things like box shadow. So if you wanted it to have that lift effect, we'll go 0, 4, 10, 0. Now your check marks have the box shadow effect, which is pretty neat. You can also go inset. These are using all of the just standard Oxygen controls. So almost everything that you want is going to be here, which is pretty sweet. Stratos says, I remember from a live, someone asked, when's V4 coming out? And Elijah says, probably, probably after 3.9. I don't know who's the bigger troll here, if it's Elijah or if it's Kyle. I guess they need to battle to the death. They need to have a duel. All right, so let's go ahead and add in a couple more filters and we can keep playing with this stuff. So add, actually we need to duplicate our div here. So just duplicate this, and then all we need to do is select our facet. Let's change it to parking ? And then repeater is already there. We'll click on apply. And then you can see there is our radio option that we set up from earlier. Now, same thing, you can do all the stuff that we just did. So like radio, colors, we can go to like circle pressed, set it to orange, and then background pressed, set it to orange. What did I do wrong? Border pressed. Actually, I didn't need background pressed, did I? I guess you can if you want to. It's pretty cool. So there is a lot of flexibility there. Kyle would win. Elijah says, besides our Black Friday deals, my troll powers are weak. Your troll powers are pretty dope when it comes to Black Friday. I will give you that for sure. So what else can we do? I didn't actually play with the title at all. So let's see. Do we have all the typography tools? Uppercase, yes. Very cool. So you have basically everything that you have in Oxygen, changing font size, then font family. We could change it to, let's go, do we have Comic Sans? I've actually never even tried that. No, no Comic Sans. We'll just change it to Lado, something like that. So just for the sake of example, of course, you can change all this stuff if you so choose, which is super awesome. All of this stuff you would have had to do before if you were, you'd have had to do it with CSS, which is awesome. And then let's go ahead and add in our other facet here. Going to duplicate this div again. And then facet, let's go to search by name, apply. And then this is going to be our autocomplete field. So I'm actually going to take this up to the top here. And then let's save this and go take a look on the front end. So now we have our map. We have all of those filters and then the styles that we have with that checked color. Now, the autocomplete is really cool because, like I said, I have the minimum characters right now set to just 1. So if I type in F, I have Firestone Park, Main Street Coffee, and Hornet's Nest Disc Golf Course, which is all highlighted, pretty neat. So then if I just start typing in Fire, of course, I'm left with Firestone Park. Click it or press Enter, and then I have this result that is the only one that applies to that particular filter. So this is really, really neat. So I really like all of this. Good question, Stratos. He asks, who proposed the default video for the video element, the increase my logo size? I forgot. It used to be Rickroll, right? Josh? That's why he was saying that. Christopher says, this really enhances Oxygen. I'm so glad I went with Grid Builder rather than Facet WP. Absolutely agree with you there. Wanted to shout this out again. If you guys don't already own WP Grid Builder, please consider using my link in the description below. I would certainly appreciate it. That'd be awesome. Okay, so we have all of our facets that we've created. Let's see, Navi says, add in the CSS animation for Grid Builder from Supermic and see if it works. Good idea. I like it. Let's see, Supa Designs, WP Grid Builder. Let's see, Supa, how to use WP Grid Builder. I can't remember where that post was. Let's see if I can find it. How to style the terms. Not the terms. Let's see. WP Grid Builder transition. Where is it? I'm like 98% sure I've done this. I think I might have had it actually in my tutorials. I'm over here on my second screen trying to find it real quick. Grid. I think I used his stuff in my tutorial. Map results, filtering, Kyle. You're totally right. I only read 25% of it. I have ADHD, sorry. Let's see, here's a demo, important, the structure, there it is. Add the animation. So in a code block, add this JavaScript. So let's go ahead and stick in code block and then JavaScript, paste, add this CSS, click to copy. All right, CSS, there we go, apply. So now, the other thing I wanted to do real quick, because I am not a designer and you guys probably all well know that by now, I wanted to add some border radius here and then some box shadow to this guy real quick. So we're gonna go black 14% and then, oops, not inset, 0, 4, 10, 0. Save this bad boy, and then I wonder if that code messed up my layout or if that's just in the back end. Oh, let's see. Code block, CSS. No? I was wondering if maybe it changed it to like a 3-wide layout, but I don't see anywhere where it would do that. So not sure why that is. Maybe it's something to do with grid. But basically what I just added was some transitions. So as we start to filter, you can see things have kind of a nice sort of hop, like fade effect, instead of it just being like an instant transition, which is nice. So again, I don't know why this stuff like suddenly compressed. Maybe I need to set my repeater to like 100%. Oh, it already is 100% width. Weird. Yeah, Kyle, I do it all the time too. Also, I just noticed, which I don't feel like was there before, but the repeater has WP Grid Builder. So the following settings will only be applied to the front end. Hide, pagination, and then a fading animation. Whoa, cool. I'm gonna get rid of this code block and let's check that out. Yeah, so that code block had something to do with the layout being messed up there. But anyway, WP Grid Builder, hide pagination, fading animation. Let's go check out what that looks like. So refresh this bad boy. Dinner. Oh, that looks perfectly fine. I'm totally happy with that right out of the box. Just a nice fade effect. I like that quite a bit. And then no results message. So let's go. Oh, did I accidentally put it inside my repeater? That might have been why. No results message. Let's say like, ain't much better in here, kid. I'll give you $1 if you know what that's from. Save and then refresh. Let's see, how can I make there be no results? I guess I can just use my map and then go over here. Ain't much better in here, kid. Cool. That is super awesome. So I didn't even notice this. I don't feel like that was there yesterday, but then again, Loic did just send me the release candidate 3 right before I started this stream. So it very well could have been something that wasn't there earlier that has now been added. So this is extremely awesome. I'm super stoked on this. I don't know what you guys think. Is there anything you want to see me do? Anything we should set up? We could also go take a look at these other facets while you guys type out your thoughts here. What other facets do we have that we haven't explored quite yet? Kyle, yes! I owe you $1, like I said, or I'll send you guys some pizza. Something like that. Nice call. Did you Google that or did you actually know it though? That's the question. That might dictate whether or not you're eligible for the $1. Let's see, what else do we got? So we got drop down. We could switch one of ours to a drop down and see what that looks like, or just duplicate it. Buttons. Buttons is cool for things like colors. In Kyle says, "Pay me my money." Buttons is cool for things like in WooCommerce. When you have colors, then you can just basically apply that attribute to a button, which is neat. Range slider would be like price. Date picker, rating. Oh, color picker is already there. Maybe you wouldn't use button, color picker. Yeah, I didn't say Googling wasn't allowed, but it wasn't allowed. So I'm changing the rules after the fact. Elijah says, did you show the actual grid element in Oxygen? No, great point. Let's do that. So we're going to go to add grid. This is new to me. So we are going to, let's see. Let's just go ahead and add in like a demo one so we can take a look at what a properly set up one looks like. So our grid name is blog demo, class name, not too worried about that. Once again, you have a no content message and no results. Content query, let's go to post type. Terms would be like taxonomies or categories. Users is pretty dope because you can't use the repeater easily to pull in the Kyle, that you said I suck. That message was hidden because it was offensive. Thank you very much. So I went ahead and allowed that because I'm a nice boss here. So you can't use the repeater without a code block, if I'm not mistaken, to display users. So that's pretty cool. So post type, we're going to go to locations, post status, published, post authors, include, exclude, taxonomies, custom fields, relation. Let's see, what would that be for? Interesting. Okay. Lots of other options. Pretty sweet there. Media format. So supported formats is gallery, audio, and video. First media content. Fetch first media in post content if missing. Oh, cool. So if there's not a featured image set, then we can go ahead and add that in. Kyle, I inhale deeply. Do you guys hear me being a mouth breather over here? That's a consequence of me moving my mic closer to my face for better audio quality. You can blame that on Elijah for that one. So yeah, I just did it. I just heard myself do it. That's hilarious. All right. So I don't really know what the media format section does. The grid layout is set to masonry. And you can set your responsivity. I've never heard that word. Responsivity. So that's pretty cool. That's all good. Grid carousel. Oh, nice. You can have it be a carousel instead of just a standard grid layout. So our grid builder here, this feels pretty familiar. This is like, what's that one plugin? Essential Grid. This looks like Essential Grid. Oh my gosh. Trollmaster A1A, dude. So let's see. Available facets is parking, which is an ACF field, so it automatically detected that for us, which is pretty sweet. So if we pop this in on the left side, then we'll go search by name up there above that. We're going to stick our map above our results. Pagination, let's go bottom like that. I want my things to be in the correct order though. Categories, let's just go over here on the left side. And then carousel dots, we're not actually using the carousel yet, but I do want to see what it looks like. So let's save that. And then the card styles, let's see. So Strato says he only bans WP Bakery users. That's funny because that was like the very first WordPress page builder I used, and I used it for longer than I care to admit, to say the least. So card styles, let's see, default card. Let's see, import card demos. I don't know what any of these look like, so hopefully if we import all of them, then we have some. Oh yeah, we do. Sweet. So let's save this real quick and refresh, and hopefully those card demos will be there for us. Apparently not, so we have to know what they're called. So what I'm going to do is pick one that looks decent. So we really only have our post title, categories, and then author. This one looks really good, so let's use Jade. We're going to go default Jade. And then what are our options here? So post type cards locations is Jade. Aside chat. Oh, cool. So for all these different formats, you can change what card it uses. That is pretty neat. That is really cool. So you have animations as well. Card type animation is flip X from bottom. There's a lot of options in here. I really haven't explored this. Change the duration and the delay, the loading. Okay, so you can have kind of like a preloader. There's a little clock by default. So let's go with something. Oh, I like the Pac-Man that's eating. We're going to do that. And then loader size. I'm going to make it bigger just for Kyle. And then that is, actually, let's change our spinner color to the orange that we were using earlier. So I actually don't even know what color that was. I just made it up. So I'm going to take this and go spinner color like that. And then loader, oh, I have to change it to loader color. Okay. Save that bad boy. And then customization, what can you do here? So you can do your own CSS and your own JS right in the plugin, which is neat. So now let's go back over here to Oxygen, and then I'm assuming I'm going to have to save and then refresh. But let's go ahead and just try. So yeah, I'm going to save this so that we have a history point to fall back to. Let's stick in a new section here. We're going to go to WP Grid Builder, Grid, select Blog Demo, which is the one we just created. And then I guess we have to tick this as an archive template because it is. And then uncaught error, can't read property ID. I wonder if I made a mistake somehow, or if maybe it's mad because there's the repeater section here. So let's save this and then go take a look on the front end. Taylor says, you're not a designer, but in other videos you say you're not a developer. I am just a clown that makes videos that for some reason people like to watch. And to be honest with you, don't really know why, but I appreciate it very much. So thank you guys. All right. Let's see. What did I do wrong here? I don't know. Maybe this isn't my fault. Is it that, did we not need to tick the box for archive template? No. Still some kind of error message there. I'm going to save this real quick. And that way I can give this to Loic. I'm sure there's going to be a fix for this. But you can see the rough kind of layout there is exactly what we did. Maybe it's really mad that the map is there. So let's go back to our grid. Where were we? It was Grid Builder. Let's get rid of the map because that's technically an ACF field. So we're going to take that out, save it, and then let's refresh. Oh gosh, that made it even worse. Maybe I need to apply this query again. This is new to me, so you guys are watching this. You guys are watching this in real time. It sort of works, but it's really not happy. Was I supposed to put something in this drop zone? No, I don't think so. I think it's just going to stick the post in there for us automatically, right? Adam says, if you're interested, if it can handle a lot of products on my site, which I have over 10,000, it's running super fast, and I use Grid Builder. Oh, that's really awesome. Very good to know. Let's see. Kyle says, just a clown that makes videos that we tolerate. I like it. So that can be, I'll make a shirt for you guys if you're interested. Okay. So yeah, Kyle, you're laying down all of my my Jonathan isms. So I have it sort of works. I'm a clown that makes videos, which is very true. And then what else? Which is pretty cool. That's another one of my catchphrases. So yeah, I got a bunch of t-shirts to make. I'll get them going for you guys. What if I preview this grid? It looks actually in the preview like it does on the front end. So maybe I need to choose a different layout. Where did I go? Not Grid Builder, not Carousel. What if I go Metro instead of Masonry? Oh, it's not compatible with Jade apparently. Need to change the card styles. So let's choose something else. Browse. And let's go with I like this one, Opalite. We're gonna go Opalite. Opalite. I don't know if I actually need to do it in both places, but I just am. Save, and then what about now? There we go. Okay, so that looks fairly reasonable, except the animation isn't loading again. I don't know why that would be. Apply. I'm not sure exactly what that error is, but I'm assuming that maybe it's something to do with this archive template. Yeah, I don't know. I guess the grid function still has some problems, or maybe I'm just doing it wrong, but I will kind of check that out in a bit and see what that problem is. J1 asked, do you have to index WP Grid Builder every time you create a post? I think it probably does need to be indexed. I honestly don't know. Let's see. Under the facets, re-index all. I don't know if it's going to automatically update. So we have 5. Let's go ahead and create one real quick and just try it. We'll go new location. We're just going to call this one like, I don't know. This is a test. Featured image is going to be this picture of a road. An address, we're going to go 100. There we go. Harbor Esplanade. On-site parking is no. Publish. And then let's take a look on the front end and see if that post, this is a test, pops up. Yes, it does. There it is right there. Even though it doesn't look right, it definitely is there. So to answer your question, it doesn't look like you have to, which is pretty neat. I actually didn't invite Loic, but I definitely intend to share this stuff with him. Probably should have sent it to him, but I didn't. So a bunch of people lighten me up with my with my Jonathan isms in chat here. I certainly appreciate all you guys. One love. So Stratus says, I have tested it and it worked. Are you talking about the indexing, or are you talking about the grid like layout here in Oxygen? Because that obviously doesn't look quite right. So let's go back over here to our history pane. How far back was our, let's see, our section. Was it back here? Yeah, that looks roughly where we were earlier. So I was just going to save this, go back to where we were, and yeah, it works just fine. So interesting. I'm not sure exactly why that grid isn't working. Perhaps it's something I had to, oh gosh, I messed up our map by putting an address in Australia. But that's pretty cool because you could totally use that as, you know, like a local directory site, because you're definitely going to want to have a map component. And so I'm assuming if you have pagination, then the map is going to update every time the page switches, which is pretty cool. I have been asked numerous times to build a local directory site, and the reason why I never have is because it would require a bunch of paid plugins. But if you guys are interested, then I would certainly be game to do it. We might have to do it over the course of a couple videos or a couple streams, but this is that's definitely something I'm interested in. So probably should turn that back on and then get all my results here. So a couple of questions in chat. So indexing is just for the data structure and is a one-time thing when you're done. It is for the time you create the facet or make changes in it so you can scan the existing post. Yeah, I've really only found that I have to do the indexing, like Stratos said, right when I create that facet for the first time. So it's typically not that much of a nuisance. But yeah, that's about all I have for you guys today. For this particular stream, I just wanted to go over this new facet WP, or not facet, wow, I can't believe I just said that, WP Grid Builder, you know, add-on for Oxygen, which is super awesome. Hopefully you guys think it is as well. If you have any other questions, feel free to ask away. And then if not, I will probably end it here. We'll be pretty much dead on an hour, which is pretty sweet. And I want to spend some more time with this, play around with it a bit more, and then we'll keep going from there. So any other chats or questions in chat, throw them in real quick. Appreciate all you guys hanging out the entire time. Talk to you soon.